Deep-sea divers often stumble upon fascinating oddities lurking in the depths of the ocean. While historians and experts usually step in to identify and explain these discoveries, there are times when even their best efforts fall short. Here are 20 underwater discoveries that remain completely unexplained. Number 20. Skulls found in evil Maya sinkhole. As if a big scary sinkhole isn't enough to give you the Wiggins, then how about one that is also cursed and contains a collection of skulls as well? How delightful. In an area just to the south of the Mexican town of Mayapan, there's an ancient Mayan city called Mayapan. In this city, if you're extra brave or really very reckless indeed, you can find a dirty great big sinkhole that's not only a dangerous hole in the earth but is also believed to have been an entrance to the underworld. So that sounds like a barrel of laughs now, doesn't it? A team of divers scaled the 65-foot drop very carefully, I should imagine, and somewhat gingerly began to explore the cursed gateway to the underworld. Seriously, how did they choose the victims to be plunged into this very portal to hell? There couldn't have been many volunteers for this unenviable task, that's for sure. This place is so feared that locals actually avoid it, and they don't even allow their children to play anywhere near it, nor will they gather drinking water from it. Beliefs abound that there are evil forces in there. Once the team of divers had managed to wrangle themselves and their gear down into the hole, they could finally dive and discover what secrets were hiding inside this evil thing. What they found were underwater caverns, which were very creepily mainly full of human remains. It's thought that the hole was used as a burial ground, but if this was a portal to the afterlife, perhaps slinging the freshly departed down into it was an attempt to get them on their way a bit faster. Oh, how jolly. Number 19. Bimini Road. Although there may be no known explanation for this underwater discovery, it seems to most of the people that have ever dived there that the so-called Bimini Road is the work of humans at some point in history. Just when it was made, or indeed why it was constructed, are things that may never be answered. But do you even actually care? Or is this particular mystery the preserve of rock botherers and Bimini diving instructor? The Bimini Road is an underwater arrangement of rocks located near North Bimini in the Bahamas. Its half-mile-long structure is apparently built from rectangular blocks of limestone. It sits about 18 feet beneath the surface and doesn't really appear to have any other obvious human-built sorts of things in its immediate vicinity, so it is a strange one. When the random rock was first discovered by divers in 1968, it had everyone scratching their noggins in puzzlement. But since then, not a whole lot's changed. They all seem to continue to mill around, being entirely confused by the whole thing. Poor souls. It's a tricky one to work out. Don't strain yourselves now, will you? Number 18. Atlit Yam. Oh goody. Another underwater Neolithic place with an alleged stone circle, my favorite. This time we're in Israel, in the waters of the eastern Mediterranean Sea, just off the coast of Atlit. The ancient submerged village of Atlit Yam is believed to be between 8,900 and 8,300 years old. Spreading across a whole 10 acres of submarine real estate, this is a site of huge archaeological significance, as it's believed to provide some evidence of the earliest known agro-pastoral subsistence living systems on the coast. Here, there have been plenty of useful discoveries, which have given archaeologists a lot to work with. They've discovered houses, a water well, human skeletons and animal bones, as well as a stone semicircle that's made up of 7 megaliths, each weighing around 1,300 pounds. Archaeological studies of the site at Atlit Yam and its contents have suggested the whole place was abandoned in a hurry and was likely inundated with water as sea levels rose after the end of the Ice Age. There's some evidence to suggest that an eruption from Mount Etna on Sicily during the same time period may have caused a massive tsunami that inflicted huge damage on the coastal settlements of the Mediterranean. So it's all a bit mysterious in that we don't know a colossal amount about humanity so very long ago, but equally, there's a bunch of evidence that's available for experts to piece together some exciting-sounding stories in order to satisfy at least a little bit of our curiosity. Number 17. Molinaire Underwater Sculpture Park. Now, apparently one of the best ways to make sculptures of people more creepy is to chuck them into the sea, or at least that's the general effect with this underwater sculpture park at Molinaire Bay in Grenada in the Caribbean. Created by Jason DeCaires-Taylor, this underwater garden features a whole bunch of human figures in various poses and groupings, as well as the classic outstretched armed Jesus. There are 75 sculptures in total, and they cover an area of about 8,600 square feet down there under the water. They're positioned in amongst the natural rock formations and sandy patches at depths of between 16 to 26 feet below sea level. So how do you visit this gallery exactly? Well, you'll have to don some diving gear and get down there, or take a tour on a glass-bottom boat and no doubt fork out a pretty penny for the privilege. But that's how it goes now, isn't it? If you like your sculpture extra gnarly with stuff growing on it and general saltwater erosion, then this is right up your alley. Apparently, it's so highly thought of that National Geographic has even named it among their top 25 wonders of the world, if you can credit it. Number 16. Julia, unexplained scary sound from the ocean. This is one of the things on my list that's truly mysterious and has had all the most clever science people's brains sweating, trying to figure out what the actual heck it is or was. It also helps that the thing has been given a name which always gives stuff a sci-fi movie vibe. On March 1, 1999, the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as NOAA, recorded an extremely loud noise in the ocean. The sound was so incredibly loud that it could be heard across the entire equatorial Pacific Ocean, traveling for over 3,000 miles and lasting around 15 minutes. The sound, like a wailing, moaning, monstrous creature, so inspired the imaginations of scientists at NOAA that they gave it a name, Julia. Nothing weird about that at all, is there? The thing is, however, that despite the underwhelming name, these people couldn't exactly identify what had caused such a massive sound that could travel across the globe like that. There were a few theories, of course, but in the end, the official story was that Julia was actually the sound of an extremely large iceberg running aground off Antarctica. A likely story. Oh, and there's also a rumor that NASA has some crazy footage with a suspiciously large shadow from the same time and area, but shoot, don't tell anyone. Let's all get our thinking caps on, or even our tinfoil hats, whatever works, and get some theories off our chests down in the comments section below. Go on, you know you want to. Go wild with it. Now it's time for today's topic. A team of Navy divers embarked on a routine mission to explore an uncharted section of a mysterious, centuries-old lake. What they encountered beneath the surface left them shaken. Deep in the dark, murky waters, they saw three towering figures, each nearly 10 feet tall. Their skin appeared pale and slick, and they moved gracefully, as if they belonged to another world. The figures wore what looked like shiny suits, but there were no visible breathing apparatuses. Their piercing, unblinking eyes seemed to observe the divers with an eerie intelligence. The team tried to approach one of the creatures, but as they closed in, a powerful unseen force struck them, propelling them rapidly toward the surface. Gasping for air, they were left in stunned silence, their minds racing with questions. The encounter has sparked wild theories. Some believe these beings are extraterrestrial lifeforms living in a hidden underwater base, observing humanity in secret. Others think they could be ancient aquatic giants, remnants of a lost civilization that has adapted to the depths of the lake over millennia. What other secrets might this lake be guarding? Could this be proof we are not alone, not only in the universe but on our own planet? Number 15. Ferrari 2000. Sometimes people are not in the best state of mind, and they do things that make no sense at all. For some reason, newspapers and such see fit to report these incidents with relish. One such event was this unfortunate incident in which a man drove a Ferrari 2000 off a dockside in Palm Beach and straight into the water. He survived the dramatic event, but his first words following the crash were kind of incoherent, and the statement he later made to the police was just as confused sounding. This was apparently not drug or alcohol related, as many people had suspected at the time. No, it was just a man having a very difficult time while being behind the wheel of a very fast and expensive car. I can only imagine someone opening the door and fish flying out. Fortunately for the driver, there was a quick-thinking and selfless individual in the immediate vicinity when the car went into the water. This person jumped straight in to rescue him. Number 14. Mysterious underwater Stonehenge found beneath Lake Michigan. Well, isn't this exciting? Not to mention really rather weird. Whether it can be explained or not remains to be seen. Archaeologists were busy scanning the vast underwater expanse of Lake Michigan, looking for shipwrecks, but they came across something distinctly unusual and much, much older. While using remote sensing techniques in the Grand Traverse Bay area of Lake Michigan, about 40 feet below the surface, they discovered a big boulder with a prehistoric carving that appears to depict a mastodon. Nearby, they found a series of stones seemingly arranged in a kind of Stonehenge style. This collection of prehistoric rocks was nestled among the regular detritus of the lake, including old cars, wrecks, and a Civil War-era pier. But hidden in this wreckage was an archaeological gem. Tell me if I'm wrong, and yes, I know it's underwater, but this is lacking some of Stonehenge's enormous and imposing swagger, right? I mean, how big is it even? I expect a little more from my prehistoric monolith. Number 13. Lion City, China's Atlantis. It seems as though every country on Earth has its own Atlantis or some imitation of this mythical city swallowed by the sea. But do they really stand up to the imagined scale and status of the legendary lost city itself? Here we have China's contender for best city swallowed by the sea, or in this case, by a government project that involved a good deal of flooding to create a hydroelectric dam. This is Lion City, and it's actually just a fraction of the area that was flooded in 1959 when the power station was built. A man-made lake was then needed. It was just tough luck that the lake had to go right on top of more than 1,300 villages across tens of thousands of acres of land, forcing the relocation of 290,000 people. Damn, that's rude behavior right there. I mean, China is kind of enormous. Did they really have to put their flood on that particular spot? When you realize that it wasn't just those villages but also an ancient city, a hugely important historic site known as Lion City, that disappeared beneath the water, it gets even more shocking. The submerged city was forgotten until 2001, when it was rediscovered. It had been enormous during its heyday. The remains beneath the water are extremely well preserved. There are temples, arches, roads, and houses, all 130 feet below the lake's surface. It's kind of incredible and really very beautiful. Number 12. Shark statue in Lake Neuchâtel. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, some joker chucks a shark statue in there, and before you know it, you're back in therapy. Oh, what a funny and hilarious prank, isn't it? A bloodthirsty shark waiting beneath the surface to scare you, quite possibly to actual death. And I thought Switzerland was supposed to be such a sensible place, full of cuckoo clocks, chocolate, and yodeling. But this lake in Switzerland has been giving people a rather rude surprise in the murky depths. Someone with a wicked sense of humor has been mucking about with an especially toothsome shark statue, which looms and leers from deep below the surface. If you're a little on the more nervous side or suffer from a heart complaint, this could actually finish you off. So, beware in the water. It's just someone's idea of a rubbish joke, or could it be the glint of an errant great white smile, grinning as it opens its jaws to devour you all? Number 11. Hidden underwater river flows along Mexico's ocean floor. This extraordinary and unique place has such an ethereal beauty about it that it just doesn't make any sense. How can there be an underwater river? Just the notion of it is a head-scratcher. This place does indeed exist, though, and it is very stunning, if a little tricky to access. Located in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, the secret underwater river, known as Cenote Angelita, can be found about a 15-minute drive south of Tulum. The way this thing works is apparently a sciencey phenomenon involving a thin layer of hydrogen sulfide that separates the salt water from the fresh water. The hydrogen sulfide layer creates a misty effect, making the river look almost otherworldly to divers exploring the site. Archaeologists have also found evidence of ancient Mayan rituals, with artifacts and remains discovered along the underwater riverbed. This is how the river maintains its own flow and form and gives the whole scene a spooky, surreal feeling. This particular river even has proper riverbanks, with trees and plants growing alongside. It really appears like a river that has somehow been submerged beneath the ocean. Number 10. Baltic Sea Anomaly. Oh, something circular and mysterious. It must be aliens. Always with the aliens and the circular oddities. But really though, why is it that when anything circular or symmetrical turns up unexpectedly, we all instantly assume it's aliens? Why would aliens be so into round things anyway? That's at least as big a mystery as the anomaly itself. The so-called Baltic Sea Anomaly, there's a catchy name if I've ever heard one, is a geographical feature that's only actually visible on some fairly indistinct sonar images taken by a Swedish diving team in 2011. They were out in the northern Baltic Sea doing some treasure hunting, and when they reviewed the images, they concluded that what they had seen down there was an unusual object that might have a non-natural origin. The tabloids, never shy of a potential aliens headline, had a field day with intense speculation about it being a sunken UFO. But of course, there's no way it might just be what scientists have said, a boring old geological formation. Oh well, maybe a big round rock. What do you think is going on there? Is it a clue to extraterrestrial life, or is it something much more pedestrian? Go on, share your theories in the comment section below. I dare you. Number 9. Pav Petri. Pav Petri is the world's oldest submerged city and has been examined, poked, and prodded more than any other undersea archaeological site on Earth. But given its position just off the coast of Greece, in the warm and clear waters of the Mediterranean, it's not as if they'd be short on volunteers to work on the site. Is it? Diving in the shallow Greek seas in the sunshine? Oh yes, please. The remarkable underwater city of Pav Petri has been completely mapped using all the scientific equipment available to archaeologists today. It shows a Bronze Age city that had been occupied from the 3rd millennium until 1100 BCE. There are only traces of its remains left now, but the technology used has allowed archaeologists to digitally rebuild the city. Using the bits of buildings, courtyards, streets, and burial places, they've reconstructed a plan of how the city may have appeared and how people might have lived there thousands of years ago. Perhaps this is one underwater discovery that's been explained, at least with everything available to us today. Since it has captured so many imaginations, no doubt the secrets of Pav Petri will continue to be revealed for many years to come. Number 8. The Antira Mechanism. Well, this is interesting. Who knew that they had computers in ancient times? That's what archaeologists are calling this unusual object discovered beneath the surface. A trading ship sank off the coast of the island of Antikythera in the Mediterranean Sea during the first half of the 1st century BCE, and the wreck has proven to be a site of enormous archaeological significance. Over the years, it has revealed many secrets. One such revelation was the Antikythera Mechanism, a device that belies all previous understanding of how advanced geared mechanisms were during its time. Until its discovery, there had been no record of such engineering involving gears. These weren't believed to have been used until medieval cathedral clocks were built over 1,000 years later. The mechanical device is believed to have been used for calculating and displaying information about astronomical phenomena in ancient Greece. This was obviously cutting-edge technology and is surprisingly sophisticated. It's even been scanned, and the resulting radiographic imagery shows 30 gear wheels forming part of the internal mechanism. This may be difficult to explain in some respects, but only because historians hadn't yet uncovered the true extent of the knowledge and skills of ancient people. It may add as much mystery as it explains, though. Number 7. Vampire squid. From sunken cities and lost civilizations to sea-dwelling creepers that'll give you nightmares, we really love to spoil you here at the Fancy Banana, don't we? The vampire squid, despite its name, is apparently neither a squid nor an octopus, and presumably it's not actually a vampire either, but I should probably make sure. The vampire squid is a kind of small cephalopod living in tropical and temperate waters around the world, at depths ranging between 2,000 to 3,000 feet, and at temperatures of around 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, 35.6 to 37.4 degrees Fahrenheit. These unique animals are completely different from any other species and are regrettably considered endangered due to pollution and the destruction of their habitats. And why are they called vampire squid? They're black or red-colored, have weird webbed skin resembling a vampire cape, and possess extremely spooky red eyes. They don't change their body color or release ink when threatened like other squid, but they do eject a glowing sticky mucus that acts similarly, confusing would-be predators. It doesn't seem as though they go around sucking blood, and they're not exactly plagued by immortality either. Number 6. The Ghost Fleet of Truck Lagoon. All over the world, there are wrecks and remains of ships that have found their way to the bottoms of oceans, lakes, and rivers. It's a veritable pile of trash in many of our most beautiful places. We humans seem to have been leaving ships all over the place for all of time. One of the eras during which humans most liberally dumped their boat-based garbage into the oceans was World War II. Ships were being torpedoed and sunk everywhere, from the Pacific Ocean to the Red Sea. In Truck Lagoon, Micronesia, there's a literal fleet of ships left sleeping with the fishes. Hundreds of wrecks remain in this tiny area of the sea. During the Second World War, this lagoon was where Japan kept much of its imperial fleet. When Allied forces discovered this, they launched Operation Hailstone, raining destruction down on the ships. In just one raid, 50 ships and more than 250 aircraft sank to the bottom. These wrecks lay undisturbed until the 1960s when Jacques Cousteau investigated the site and renewed interest in the area. Although some of the hundreds of bodies have been recovered and returned to Japan for burial, others remain trapped in the wrecks. Very creepy indeed. Number 5. Train Graveyard Underwater. The spooky discovery of 2 lost locomotives underwater, about 5 miles off the coast of New Jersey, has given local historians a new mystery to ponder. Just how this patch of sea became the final resting place for a couple of trains from the 1850s is quite the head-scratcher. There are a couple of theories, though. Either the 2 steam trains were being transported and accidentally ditched into the sea, or they were deliberately pushed into the water, perhaps to prevent the vessel transporting them from sinking or capsizing. There was certainly never any railway out at sea. What makes the discovery even more fascinating is that no official records of these locomotives exist, leaving historians scratching their heads about their origin. Their unique design suggests they were early models of a type known as Planet Class, which was uncommon even during that time. Divers exploring the site have marveled at how well the trains have retained their structural integrity despite decades under the waves. The surrounding marine life has made these locomotives their home, adding an eerie beauty to the submerged artifacts. The locomotives are well preserved as they sit 90 feet below the surface. While they've sustained a lot of rust, understandable after 160 years underwater, their forms remain intact. They are of great interest as examples of steam engines from this era. Oddly, they're both alongside one another on the seabed, sitting upright as if they had pulled into a station together. Number 4. 60,000-ton anomaly beneath the Sea of Galilee. Ah, excellent, another of these mysterious anomalies. I'm beginning to grow fond of these things, aren't you? Let's just hope that this one doesn't turn out to be another big old heap of rocks. In 2003, A sonar survey of the southwest part of the Sea of Galilee, the largest freshwater lake in Israel, revealed some unusually large boulders that appeared to be arranged as a kind of monument beneath the water. Each boulder is estimated to weigh around 60,000 tons and is approximately 33 feet tall. The entire arrangement stretches to a diameter of around 230 feet. Adding to the intrigue, some archaeologists have speculated that the structure may have served a ceremonial or religious purpose for an ancient society. Others suggest it could have been a type of burial site or a marker for significant events, though no definitive evidence supports these theories. What's even more perplexing is how ancient builders could have transported and arranged such massive stones without advanced tools. The monument's age is still undetermined, leaving room for further speculation about its creators and their capabilities. It is certainly weird, but scientists have concluded that it is man-made, as it does not resemble any kind of natural structure. They also concede that the stone monument must have been the work of a well-organized society. But that is really all they are able to conclude. The mystery deepens. What do you think? Aliens, perhaps? Go on and share your hypothesis in the comments section. It'll be fun. Number 3. Orta Cave. Squeezing through teeny-weeny gaps in full diving gear may not be everyone's idea of fun, especially not in a super deep, dark, water-filled cave system in the remote Ural mountain region of Russia. To be honest, it sounds a bit like a claustrophobic nightmare. But hey, that's just me. Perhaps you're an underwater cave enthusiast, and this place looks like your idea of a fun day out. Takes all sorts now, doesn't it? Here we are in the world's largest gypsum cave. It is big. It stretches over 3 miles underwater and has a network of caves and tunnels. This place is quite distinct due to the unusual rock formations and the simple fact that it's unlike anywhere else on Earth. Gypsum is a soft sulfate mineral made up of calcium sulfate dihydrate, and if you're interested in such fascinating facts, there you go. The only thing is that gypsum is not exactly harmless to humans. If ingested, it can cause blockages in the gastrointestinal tract. If handled improperly, it can also cause skin irritation, damage to your eyeballs or mucous membranes, and even breathing problems. So, as well as the inherent dangers of underwater cave diving, like drowning, running out of oxygen, or getting lost in a complex cave system, this crazy cave also tries to kill you in a variety of other imaginative ways. What a fun one. Number 2. Yonaguni Monument. It's kind of surprising just how many cities in history have fallen victim to the unpredictable waterline, finding themselves submerged by the rising seas. It seems as though every country has one. This is Japan's version, a submerged ancient city in the waters just off Yonaguni Island. It's believed that this city was submerged about 2,000 years ago, when an earthquake struck the area and sank the city. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura has been methodically measuring and documenting the ancient remains for over 15 years, deepening his understanding of the site. He now believes that the city is 5,000 years old, containing numerous structures that he sees as proof of the civilization that once lived there. However, not everyone in the marine archaeology community is inclined to agree. Some have even proposed theories that this is an entirely natural structure, with no evidence of human intervention in its construction. So, there are two rather opposing views and a whole boatload of controversy. That's what makes for a juicy lost city story anyway, isn't it? What do you think? Is it a city or a naturally formed phenomenon? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Number 1. SS Thislegorm. The British merchant navy ship, the SS Thislegorm, was built in 1940 and, within a year, was sunk by German bombers during the Second World War. The vessel went down near Ras Mohammed in the Red Sea on October 6, 1941. The wreckage remained undiscovered for a few years until famous French oceanographer and filmmaker Jacques Cousteau rediscovered it in the early 1950s. Cousteau had conducted research in the area and gathered information from local fishermen, which ultimately led to the shipwreck's discovery. The cargo within the wreck remains one of the most fascinating aspects of the site. Rows of motorcycles, boots, rifles, and even steam locomotives have been found preserved within the wreckage, creating an eerie underwater time capsule. The site has become a haven for divers, offering a surreal glimpse into history frozen beneath the waves. Marine life has now claimed the wreck, with colorful corals and schools of fish thriving amidst the twisted metal remains. During dives to the wreck, Cousteau and his team recovered several items, including a motorcycle, the ship's bell, and the captain's safe. They also took a lot of photographs which were featured in National Geographic magazine in February 1956. These photos showed the shipwreck's interior and documented its contents. The SS Thislegorm had been carrying cargo that included trucks, armored cars, guns, ammunition, radio equipment, and aircraft parts. Most of the gear was intended to support Allied troops in Egypt when the ship was sunk. It seems there are quite a few underwater mysteries out there, aren't there? I must admit, it's all a bit unsettling, especially that Julia. She seemed far too loud to be just a boring old iceberg. What do you think about all these unexplained submerged wonders? Which of these discoveries sparked your imagination the most? Let me know all about it in the comments below. And don't forget to check out the other cool content popping up on the screen. I'll see you next time.